Tell him, McCluskey. Tell him what time it is.
Little Hen says it's time to rock and roll.
All you people are so scared of me.
Come quietly or there will be trouble.
Man, that's just me.
I'm Batman.
This is Sparta!
There is a tiger in the bathroom.
I'm an excellent driver.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Pop quiz, hotshot.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
Stay here. I'll be back.
Hello and welcome back to the Monday Movie Show, to the DVD and Blu-ray part of the show. Coming up after the combined DVD and Blu-ray top 10, we will have reviews of...
we have animated film Mass Effect Paragon Lost, Taken 2, Liam Neeson's back, whoopee. The third in the Death Race series with Death Race Inferno. Untouchable, which is a French drama comedy. It's got comedy elements to it. The sequel to Grave Encounters, surprisingly called Grave Encounters 2, and sort of like very kids-friendly horror animated film Hotel Transylvania. In this week's TV movie of the week, it's two, I've cheated again, is Black Death and Dreams of a Life.
Interesting. You sounded as excited as Liam Neeson does in Taken 2 when you actually said Taken 2 there.
Yay.
Let's go on though into the DVD and Blu-ray top 10, starting at number 10 with Rio.
Yeah, Rio is... It's... To be honest, I felt it wasn't a very good animated film. It's really lovely to look at. The animation is fantastically done. It's just the film part of it is not very well done at all. It's just your bog standard movie about... He's not a parakeet, he's a macaw, isn't he? Or something like that. Anyway. Yeah, he's a macaw that's gone to Rio. And it's bright and brash, but that's all it is. It's sort of like if you put a young kid in front of it, they'll love it because of all the colours and the characters. Anybody else, they would just be bored.
Number 9 is Mrs. Brown's live tour. What? It's not Mrs. Brown's Boys, is it? It is.
No, it's sort of. It's a live tour of Mrs. Brown's Boys. You know what's sort of like really good news for me and you when it comes to this is the fact that the guy who does Mrs. Brown's Boys says that there will not be a new series of Mrs. Brown's Boys until the end of 2014.
Woohoo!
I'm so glad with that because then we won't have to mention it in the top 10 ever again.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Number 8 is 21 Jump Street.
Yeah, well, Menace has said his daughter hated Rio. Well, Menace, your daughter has good taste.
Yeah.
21 Jump Street, funny comedy, Channing Tatum. He's I'm not going to. He's actually not too bad as in a comedy role. He's surprisingly how well he does in this film. And I forgot who's beside him. It's Jonah Hill.
Jonah Hill. This time. I always forget his name. It's your turn.
But at least I remember practically straight away after it. Jonah Hill, he's not as annoying as he normally is, considering that he was in films like The Sitter, etc. But the film itself is quite funny. It's a funny film. It's one of the only comedies last year that I did actually laugh at.
You know what else he's funny in as well for the small scene he's in? He's funny in Django Unchained. Number 7 even. Just giving the right numbers. Number 7 is Lawless.
Yeah, Lawless. It's.
I should have really just gone straight to number 6, shouldn't I?
Pretty much, yeah. Lawless. It's a western. It's sort of a western in a way. It's just a film that doesn't work. The acting is not very good in it at all. Shia LaBeouf, I can't stand him. He can't act. And poor Tom Hardy, again, this is the second film in a row that he's done that. It's underused him. This Means War was just pathetic, and this is better than that. His acting is better than that, but he plays the film so laborious, as a matter of fact. His character is such a boring one. Guy Pearce is probably the best thing about the film itself. Gary Oldman gets higher standing on the poster, etc., than Guy Pearce does. Even though Guy Pearce is
only in it for about 5 minutes.
Yeah, Guy Pearce is in an and role, and Gary Oldman isn't, when Gary Oldman should be.
Number 6 is Dread.
Yeah, I liked it more the second time than I did the first time. I saw it in 3D the first time. I saw it in 2D the second time. I enjoyed it more the second time. I found it more visceral, and it was really nice to look at. The slow-mo scenes in 2D are so nice to look at. It's probably one of the only times when slow motion has not got on my nerves. It got on my nerves when I went to see it in 3D, when I went to see it in the cinema. When I saw it again, it didn't. So I'm thinking it's maybe the 3D that might have affected me a little bit with the slow-mo, but I love Dredd. I thought Dredd was a really good film.
I absolutely loved it as well. It's great that it's gritty and it's uncut and it's not afraid to shy away from anything, which is from what I've seen of the comic, is what it does as well. New entry at number 5 for House at the End of the Street.
Boring, absolute boring film. Nothing happens in the movie at all until the 80th minute mark. That's when you get the twist, and the twist, if you don't see it, then there's something seriously wrong with you. This is a pointless film. And
if you do watch it and don't manage to fall asleep, then you've achieved something. And number 4, dropping down from the top spot last week, is The Sweeney.
Yeah, it's a film that's... I've got to give it credit considering the fact that it's a British movie, and considering that the budget that our films have, it does look a bit more of a higher quality British movie than what we normally produce. But it felt more like an American cop TV episode rather than a film. I was wondering last week if there was a film from The Sweeney. There is definitely a film from The Sweeney because I saw it in HMV, which was rated 18 for some reason. This is only rated 15, so that must have been slightly more violent or whatever. But it's an okay film for what it is, and the director, I think he was just trying to do too much with the movie. There is a chase scene in the film which works really well, but the rest of the film around it I thought was okay.
I quite enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it. I thought that it flew by, and I thought Ray Winston is great in the central role. Number 3, new entry for Paranorman,
which I've still yet to see Frankenweenie, so that'll be like the trilogy of the kiddies horror animated films. Paranorman is a really good film. It's a claymation of sorts, and it's very well done, and the story gets darker the more through the film you get. And I just really like Paranorman. It's a really good kiddies horror film. I'm going to actually take out of the animation part and ignore that and put it as a kiddies horror film.
We know you're reviewing Frankenweenie when it comes out in a few weeks then. Number 2, I shall just start again. Number 2, another high entry for Resident Evil Retribution.
First Resident Evil film released on Blu-ray and DVD not to go to number 1. That's not including the animated movies, which is a surprise. It's also a Resident Evil film that didn't get to number 1 in the box office. So it shows you what should happen to the series. End it. Just end the series. Yes, I know there's definitely a 6th film in there. You need to end it after that, or you'll fall into the Saw territory or the Friday the 13th territory.
Or Steven Seagal territory.
Well, you look at Friday the 13th and how many films are in that series. There's like 11 of them. You'll fall into that territory. The fact that they become so much boring, and this is just now, it's beyond paint by numbers. This is the kind of colouring in by numbers that you did as a 2-year-old, and you even managed to colour them in the lines. This is just out of the lines.
So the new number 1 movie of the week is Looper.
Yeah, it's a smart film. It's a part of those smart blockbuster movies. For the first hour of the film, it's more of the sci-fi elements, and then the second part is the drama, which I think works better than the first half. Brilliantly acted by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Bruce Willis, Emily Blunt as well. She's fantastic in the movie. The kid also, I think, needs a bit of plaudits as well, because I think he played it really well. Jeff Bridges as well. Jeff Bridges is in the small role that he's in.
Not Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Daniels.
Daniels, yes.
Why was I thinking Jeff Bridges? Jeff Daniels, in the small role that he's in, he's really good in it.
Because he has a beard that looks like the dude in the film.
Yeah, the film itself is really good. I really, really liked Looper.
Yeah, it's a fantastic film. Okay, so that's the UK DVD and Blu-ray Top 10. We're going to take a quick break here for the Games Cast, after which we'll be back with our first review.
Right, advert. What do I need to say in an advert? Well, I need to say that we're the Gamescast. I need to say that we're on Twitter at the Gamescast. I need to say we're on Facebook. I need to say we've got a website, thegamescast.com, and I need to say we're on YouTube. Oh yeah, and we're on this thing called Spreaker.com. Don't know where that came from. What else? That's probably it. Right, better record it. Oh, crap. That was 30 seconds. The Gamescast. Grown-up gamers talking about games. Allegedly.
And we're back.
Yeah, Menace, I love that idea. Friday the 13th, part 34, Jason gets a pacemaker. And Alex came back with, and his weapon is a Zimmer frame. A rusty one, and tetanus is a killer. They're writing the 34th Friday the 13th film there.
Yeah, it's still a bit lower than I was expecting there. Should have gone higher. Let's go on with your first interesting review this evening, I think.
Yeah, it's Mass Effect Paragon Lost. Now, if you're a fan of the Mass Effect series, the controversy that happened with Mass Effect 3, that's Gamescast territory.
Leave it to them.
That's Gamescast territory.
Do they not have an entire hour and a half long show dedicated to it?
Pretty much, but I do want to say one thing. Shut it. Not to you, to the Gamescast. I just wish they would stop yabbering on about it. Because it annoyed me, the fact that nobody stuck up for it, etc. But that's like I said, that's Gamescast territory anyway. Yeah, well, Mass Effect Paragon Lost, it's sort of set in the universe of Mass Effect 2 rather than Mass Effect 3, and it centres around a character called James Vega, which is more prevalent in Mass Effect 3 rather than number 2. I'm guessing a lot of this is going to go over your head because I don't think you've played any of the Mass Effect games, have you?
No, I have the first one, but I've never played it.
Yeah, well, the first part of the film is about James Vega and his crew. He's been sent down to go up against the Vulture, who are sort of like these weird, the like vampiric kind of characters, and the also these other big brooding characters as well, who they're trying to go up against them to stop them. They end up fighting against them and beating them, and then James Vega is given a promotion. Here's a clip.
Hell of a battle there, son. That's the kind of leadership I'd expect from a veteran.
It was the training, sir.
Don't sell us that crap. I never taught you that kind of soldiering, and you know it. Quit playing coy and accept the compliment. You earned it.
Your courage under fire saved a lot of good people, Vega. And it's for their continued safety we'd like you and your squad to stick around. Hold down the fort.
Admiral, the blood pack is finished here. All due respect, but we're a special forces unit. Can't you just assign a standard security detail?
I'm giving you an order, soldier. The Fel Prime facility and all of its inhabitants are a very valuable resource for the Alliance. It is far too important for us to leave undefended. Are we clear?
Yes, sir. We're clear.
I see from your badge you remember the Normandy.
I try to, sir. I think everyone should.
It's good to have heroes, Vega, but don't be too eager to follow in Shepard's footsteps. That kind of greatness only comes at a great cost. Remember that. Hack it out.
Well, Lieutenant, welcome to the Terminus systems.
Sorry for the cheesy dialogue there. I know you're a Danny Dyer fan. You're not a video games fan, but the dialogue is uber cheesy in this movie. It is more like one of those oorah butch kind of sci-fi films that you watch. The rest of the film is Vega has been promoted after the success against the Krogans, is the ones who I was trying to think of. And he's been sent to this remote star system where there's these beings called the Collectors, who were they inhabit human beings and take them over. They become one of them so they can rule the galaxy. There is a scientist on this this base in this remote star system which Vega needs to escort, and you find out this scientist has something to do with a sort of like a really weird society called Cerberus. And Cerberus is the kind of people who want to get all the information from the Collectors and trying to, you might as well say, take over the galaxy themselves. Now, all of that probably sounds really confusing to anybody who's never played a Mass Effect game or seen anything Mass Effect in their life. I'm going to be quick about the film itself. I know. The film itself, if you're a Mass Effect fan, you'll have known all of this stuff. You'll have known Vega's backstory because it is told in one of the novels. Its animation is more of the 90s manga style animation rather than the full on computer generated thing, which adds a style to the film. It's just a very average movie. Mass Effect fans will be disappointed with the film because there isn't anything special that happens in the film. Yeah, I know, Menace, sorry, I know you can hear Skype, sorry about that. But yeah, it's very average. I'm a Mass Effect fan myself, and I found it distinctly average. Yeah, I'm finished.
Okay. You're done, yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Taken 2. To go
Not
from
a proper film.
To go from maybe bad to worse, I don't know, but directed by the guy who's I still love his name. He's got a cool name, Oliver Megaton. Written by Luc Besson. Stars Liam Neeson as Brian Mills returning from the first Taken movie. It's been some time since the events of that. And he's in Istanbul on work, where he's working sort of a private security job for I think it's a sheikh from another country who's visiting there. And after the job's finished, he's speaking to his daughter on the phone. It turns up she's actually there with her mother. They've turned up to surprise him and to essentially come and have a little sort of a break and a holiday with him in Istanbul. What they're not aware of is that a man played by Rade Serbed. Why do I get these names? Rade Serbedeja. I'm sorry if I've got that wrong.
Bless you.
But he is he's basically leading a group of men who are all related to characters that were men that were killed by Liam Neeson's character in the first Taken movie when he was searching to recover his daughter, who had been kidnapped at the time. So in this movie, they actually are out for revenge to capture all of his family, his daughter, his ex-wife, and him. When they actually succeed in capturing him and his ex-wife, his daughter manages to get away, and after he's been captured, he manages to get hold of a phone and calls her at the hotel. Here's a clip.
Now take one of those little cans.
The ones with the pins on the top. It's a grenade. I want you
to go to the balcony with the grenade.
Is there a safe place you can throw it?
There's a parking garage.
Anyone on it?
No.
I want you to pull the pin out of the grenade.
Count to 3 so I can hear it.
Then toss it as far as you can.
And then run back into the room.
Keep the phone on so
I can hear the explosion.
1, 2, 3.
A lot of people in this chat are trying to coerce me into saying that I'm glad that Liam Neeson is back in Taken 2. Never. I will never say that.
Well, he is back, unfortunately, because then after that he does manage to escape, and it goes on essentially a rampage again, where he rescues his daughter, and then also at the time has to then go and rescue his ex-wife. Now, it's the thing of that it's a sequel that's just not an equal. It is a complete cash cow on the first movie. It's poorly written. The directing and the editing of it is just it suffers from that action movie over editing that has been done a lot on films recently, and it's just, you can tell Liam Neeson is just in it for, it is just a quick payment, do the movie, that's it kind of role. There are moments in it when you're like watching it and you're going, what, you're doing this now? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you going that way? Why aren't you picking up someone's gun who you just killed, so you've actually got a weapon to kill people with, you know? And it's just like people doing stupid things, not just the bad guys, but the good guy as well. And it's one of these sort of frustrating things. You're watching it and you're just like, you honestly get through it and you go, why did I waste 90 minutes of my life watching that? I mean, the Blu-ray and the DVD has got the uncut version that is now rated a 15, which was edited to get a 12 rating in the cinema, so they could get more people to go in and see it. I mean, that gives you an idea of where their goals were with this film. Create a sequel to a film that did really well once it came out on DVD, so we can make loads of money at the cinema, and release a cut down version of it, so that we can then release an uncut version of it and make even more money off it and just rip people off, because that's what they're doing. It's just awful. It's rubbish. It's got a sort of a not too bad car chase in the middle of it, but Maggie Grace's character is really annoying in the car chase.
She's annoying, full stop. Anyway, Maggie Grace.
And it's not worth seeing even straight after the first one. There's films that are sequels which are not good, but if you watch them straight after the previous film, there can be some entertainment gained from it. From this, there's just basically a 90-minute snore fest.
Yeah, and just for people in the live chat, I don't own a single Liam Neeson film. So I will not be having a Liam Neeson marathon tonight.
This is true. He doesn't even own Batman Begins yet. He still doesn't own Batman Begins. Yeah. Go on.
Yeah, okay, then I'll go on to Death Race 3 Inferno. Now,
it just gets better and better tonight, doesn't it?
Yeah, I could bore you with the details of what the story is. Tell you what, go and watch Death Race 1 and Death Race 2. That's the story. Honestly, it is simple. I know I'm reviewing a film, so I have to give you an inkling of what it is like. But Death Race 3, it centres around the character of Frankenstein, again in this one played by Luke Goss. He's called Carl Lucas in the film. His character is called Carl Lucas in the previous one as well. Even though the previous film is a prequel to the first one, and this one you don't know where it's set up. Because in the previous films, he's got 4 wins under his belt, Frankenstein. He is being told that if he gets a 5th win, he is set free. However, as a little twist what they've done with this movie, they've brought in a character played by Douglas Scott, who's this multi-billionaire who's decided to buy the Death Race franchise, and instead of it being set on a prison island, he's decided to move it all the way around the world, except this film is entirely set in South Africa. So you don't see the entire world, you just see it set in South Africa, even though he's bought the rights to be shown in multiple countries, so they can make billions of dollars from it. And the rest of the film is just Frankenstein going through the 3 races that he needs to against the stereotypical people that you've seen in the previous Death Race films, along with his pit crew, which also features Danny Trejo in the film. And Ving Rhames is in the movie as well, who plays a character who owns the Death Race franchise before Douglas Scott's character buys it. And yeah, the rest of them is just, like I said, Frankenstein needing to get the 5th win under his belt for the 3rd film in a row. He's never ever going to get this 5th win, even though he got it in the previous film and in number 1. Spoilers there.
I'm just wondering how much scenery is going to be left after Luke Goss and Douglas Scott are sort of chewing it all up.
It's not just Douglas Scott who's chewing it up. All Luke Goss is chewing it up. Ving Rhames is on major chewing it up form. And so is Danny Trejo.
I've just got this vision of like all of them in a cage, like a hamster cage, just chewing the cage and the scenery.
You can just imagine what it would have been like on set. The kind of every one of them, their trailers. No, I want a better trailer than yours. No, my trailer's better than yours. There would have been bitch slaps fights in the parking lots or whatever before they start shooting the racing scenes. Honestly, this franchise has got to be the most laziest written franchise ever. The Resident Evil ones. Honestly, it is. Honestly, this is the laziest written franchise ever. Because they just thought a brilliant idea would be to set it in South Africa. And that's it. That's their new twist on what happened. At least in the first one, in the second film, you had Death Fight, which had nothing to do with Death Race whatsoever in the first 45 minutes of the film. It's just the last part is about the race. This is just... There is a 4th film coming in the Death Race series.
God.
There is definitely a 4th film, I can tell you that. And would you believe it? This one is written by Jeremy Bolt and Paul W.S. Anderson. He wrote it.
Yeah, that's going to be good.
And he's got an executive production credit on it as well. It gets worse. Honestly, Death Race series is pointless. It's completely pointless.
Okay, I'm going to go on now. I think we've finished there. Untouchable, or Intouchables in the original title, is a French movie directed by Oliver Nakashi, I think is the right way to pronounce it, and Eric Toledano. It's a movie about a man played by Francois Cluzet. Did I get that right?
Yep.
Yeah, cool. and he's a man who is a paraplegic. He is paralyzed from the neck down, has no sensation from the neck down, and is essentially wheelchair bound, or he basically is dependent on other people to live and to live his daily life. He plays a character named Philippe, who at the beginning of the movie, there's several different people being interviewed for a vacancy with him. And in walks a character played by Omar Sy, who plays Driss, who walks in not sort of dressed in a suit or anything, like sort of an interview appearance, as several other people there waiting to see as well. He basically comes in, essentially has a form from the job centre in France, which needs to be signed, saying he turned up for the interview and that was it, so he can get his welfare check. What happens is eventually that after seeing all the other people and the way that Driss sort of reacts and just treats him and treats everyone, Philippe decides to hire Driss because of the fact of that he treats him like a normal person. He's not somebody who pities him and feels sorry for him. He just talks to him how he wants and treats everyone how he wants. It's a really good film, this film. It's a really good emotional sort of core to this film, that is about the friendship and the fact of that. I mean, because it's based on true events. There are these two characters are real life people, and you have the whole thing of the character of Driss, who comes from a hard life, a hard background. He's not really the kind of person. He has to learn how to care for Philippe and to look after him, and because of the way he treats him as well, kind of helps to instill sort of a more of a sort of a confidence in him. And it's a great movie. I mean, people are not going to see it because I know people who won't watch films in subtitles. That is their loss, because this is a fantastically written, fantastically directed, fantastically acted film. It is in the IMDb's top 250 films. It is currently sitting at number 62, and that is for a reason, because of the fact of it's such a great film, and it's one of these good uplifting films. And one of these ones about, why life is good even though you may be paralysed from the neck down, why it's worth living. And it's one of these really enjoyable biographical pieces of work, which, I mean, it needs to be seen.
Yeah, a couple of things. One thing that really annoyed me, and I don't know why the Oscar panel works like this, the film wasn't put up for Best Foreign Film. The reason being is because in the Oscars, when it comes to the Best Foreign Film category, and it's the only category that does this, you can only have one film from each country. So each country that has to nominate a film from that, and you can only have one film. So the film that was put up was Amour over Untouchable.
Well, there was Amour and there was Rust and Bone. And I think Rust and Bone was put up as a French category. Amour was put up as was it Lithuanian?
I think it's down to Sweden or something like that,
Sweden,
because of Michael Haneke.
Yeah, because the director he's not from France, he's from another country, so they were able to get it in under that rule. But obviously they're not been able to do that with this. And I mean, it's hard to say, but I mean, I think that Untouchable, for me, is as good as Rust and Bone, and maybe I think it's a disappointment that it didn't get a nomination.
The thing is, though, Rust and Bone wasn't nominated. It was Amour that was nominated for the French side. Rust and Bone was not nominated. Honestly, it was not nominated.
Was there not a film then?
The best foreign language film category was Amour, Kon-Tiki, Noah, A Royal Affair, and Warwich. So Amour was the one which was nominated from France, and it was just annoying that Untouchable wasn't. I don't even think Untouchable was nominated in the BAFTAs as well, which is just a major shame because it is a really good film.
Yeah, everyone should check out this film. It's a fantastic film. If you're just looking for an action film, it's not going to be your thing. But if you're looking for a good drama that is going to thoroughly fill a 2-hour gap from start to finish, then this is the one for you.
Yep. Next film, Grave Encounters 2. I've got a brilliant bunch this week, haven't I?
Well, better than the ones I had. I mean, I did Movie 43 last week. I'm going to hold that one over your head for a long time.
Yeah, well, I'll eventually have to watch it anyway, but still, Grave Encounters 2 is a sequel to Grave Encounters.
Really?
And it centers, yeah, I know. It centers around a film student who's watched Grave Encounters and seen all of the information of Grave Encounters online. And people believe that it never happened, that it was faked. And so, he comes up, now stop me if you've heard this before, he comes up with a brilliant idea to get him and a few friends, some cameras together, to go and investigate the film Grave Encounters and where the original film was shot, which is inside of an insane asylum. Honestly, it could write itself. It's brilliantly written. It's Citizen Kane.
Oh.
And so, yeah, these people, they go to this insane asylum, they get locked in, surprisingly, and then strange, weird things happen. They end off discovering, that this is not a plot spoiler because it's in the trailer as well, they end off discovering the survivor from Grave Encounters, spoiler there, I don't care, to be honest. They discover him completely emancipated and the fact that he's been living off eating rats, which is nice. But yeah, again, this is another film that doesn't have an original bone in its single body. It's just surprisingly. However, the surprising thing is, it's not too bad. There are a load of films in this genre of the shaky cam kind of thing. And as a movie that nobody's heard of, very few people have heard of the original Grave Encounters, this is not too bad. That's not to say it's a good film. It's just a tolerable movie. There are parts in the movie which you're thinking, yeah, nobody would actually do anything that you're doing there. And I know you're going to set up cameras, and yes, he's been flung out the window. Surprise, surprise. But for what it is and how much it's been shot, I think it was got something less than $500,000 budget. The budget is tiny on this movie. It's shot really nicely. There is a few decent scenes in it, a few inventive scenes in it. Specifically, when they're searching around the insane asylum, it keeps changing itself. So it's a bit like Vincenzo Natali's Cube. It sort of like changes the way the insane asylum is. So it messes with their heads even more. And it's not too bad. But it's such a dumb movie.
Okay. I don't think I'll be seeing it somehow. Hotel Transylvania is directed by. Why do I get? I really getting. You're getting all the rubbish films. I'm getting rubbish names though. Genndy Tartakovsky, I think.
Yep.
Which I'm amazed I managed to get right. It's an animated film, which is a sort of a kids animated horror film, where you have a Dracula who has raised his daughter who is now a 118-year-old teenager. She is about to sort of be given her right of sort of freedom now. She is a teenager in vampires' terms. And she's about to be let to go out into the world from this castle that Dracula has built as being a sort of a hotel away from all sort of monsters, places around the world where they can get away, be themselves, and not worry about humans. The whole thing is that when she goes out, she goes to this fake village that Dracula set up with a whole load of his zombie sort of servants and staff to try and scare her, pretending to be humans to scare her, so she will then return back to the castle and no longer be afraid of leaving the castle. She'll want to stay there all forever. Unfortunately, in the way that this is done, it leads a guy who is a human who is backpacking through the country back to the castle, where Dracula then has to hide him, cover him up, and keep him hidden from all the monsters. Otherwise, all the monsters will be frightened, they'll run away, and he'll go out of business. Here's a clip.
Who is that?
Who is what? Oh, that. That is nobody.
Seriously, Dad?
Dad?
Yeah, I know. Dracula's daughter. Everyone freaks out at first.
Dracula? Okay, we gotta go. Please don't kill me. I'm so young. I have so many places I want to see. I've got tickets to 6 Dave Matthews Band concerts. Oh, I'm getting out of here. Shut up already. It's impossible for me to think with all your noise. Sorry, Glenn. Go back to sleep.
Wait, aren't you gonna suck my blood?
Ugh, classic human paranoia. Human blood is so fatty and you never know where it's been.
So, Dracula doesn't drink blood?
No, I use a blood substitute, either near blood or blood beaters. You can't tell the difference.
So, wow, you're like the real Count Dracula, like, I'm Dracula, blah, blah, blah.
I've never said that in my life. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know where that comes from.
So, last year there were 3 big sort of kids horror animated movies released. You had this, you had Frankenweenie, and you had Paranorman. Paranorman is the best one overall for an animated film. This one is possibly the best one for if you want to watch it with young kids, because considering the subject of the 3 movies. It is... There are bits in it. There's a couple of bits in it where little kids might get as a bit sort of a ooh moment, but the rest of the film, there's not. It's not really scary. It's just about the subject of monsters. So it's kind of like, in a way, if you will, sort of like Monsters Inc. kind of way. It's just covering the subject of there being Frankenstein. You've got the werewolf in there, which is a really, to be honest, one of the funniest characters in the film. You've got great vocal performances in there. I mean, surprise, surprise, Adam Sandler is the one you heard there in that clip playing Dracula. And he's not bad throughout the film. I mean, it's an Adam Sandler film, shock horror, that he doesn't completely suck in. I mean,
no pun intended.
Honestly, there wasn't. I didn't think of that. There's also, I mean, you've got Kevin James in the film doing the voice of Frankenstein, and he's not bad in either. You've got, I mean, annoying people like Fran Drescher is in this, and she's not annoying.
Sorry, I couldn't resist that.
Steve Buscemi is in it, who's brilliant as ever. David Spade is in it. I mean, but the thing is, all this voice, if you looked at this vocal cast, you'd go, oh no, hell no, I'm staying away from this. But you shouldn't. It's a brilliantly fun animated film. It's funny. It's genuinely funny for both kids and adults. There's moments in it that there are jokes that adults will get as well, and I mean, especially with the werewolf character. It runs for an hour and a half, so it's not a long film. And I think there'll be a lot of parents who should get this, who watch it with kids. I mean, even as young as sort of 6-year-old, I would say. I mean, I think is it a PG? I'm trying to think if it's PG. Yeah. So I mean, it's really suitable for almost sort of all ages. Will have moments that, as I say, there's an ongoing joke with Dracula where he does this scary look thing of when he's angry. You know, someone says, "Let's do this." He goes, "Let's not do this," and he looks sort of very. I can't remember where he's very sort of imposing on the screen and very dark, but then it's kind of like a joke thing, and so it's not gonna scare young kids, whereas the other 2 movies might. But it's fun. It's surprisingly fun.
Yeah, I'm sorry for that. According to Alex, a kid pretending to be a machine gun impression. I'm really sorry, but
if you know who Fran Drescher is, that was actually not bad.
Yeah, she sounds a little bit like Janice in Friends.
What are you talking about? No, that was terrible.
That was really bad. But what Hotel Transylvania reminded me of is there's an 80s cartoon called The Groovy Ghoulies, which I loved as a kid, and it reminded me of that. It without the musical numbers. It reminded the characters are very similar to the characters in Groovy Ghoulies.
Although it's not that close to it. What it reminds me of is, do you remember Trapdoor?
Yes.
It reminds me a bit of that. Even though that was a claymation thing, but
yeah, I'm not going to sing the song.
I'm not. I'm resisting the urge.
Yeah, I think I should get on. Well, wait until next week. One of the films that we're reviewing next week. Let's just see. That'll give you a clue.
No, it's going to be in my head now for the rest of the night. You're evil.
Just go
TV
movie of the week.
Movie. Yeah.
TV movie of the week now, where Stuart Bannerman, who does From Page to Screen or the British Movie Show, he'll love these 2 movies of the week, because all in the month of February, all he's watching is British movies and British TV programmes. And so I've picked 2. Again, I've cheated. The first one is Black Death. It's from Christopher Smith, and it's got a Sean Bean in it. I'm not going to give away any of that, but think about what kind of film Sean Bean's in and what happens to him. Gives you a clue. But it's about the plague. And I thought it was a really good... So it is a horror film. It's very violent, very gory. It's sort of like... Christopher Smith has a knack. I've taken a movie that's a 15, because I don't think he's... he has done an 18. I was going to say I don't think he's done an 18, but Creep was an 18. And he has a way of pushing the boundaries of what a 15 can take. And Black Death is one of those films. It's very violent, and it's very dark and sinister. The other film on the flip side is a film called Dreams of a Life, and it gets premiered on Channel 4 on Thursday at 10 o'clock. Did I mention when Black Death was on?
I don't think you did.
Black Death is on at 11:40 on Wednesday the 6th. But the other film is Dreams of a Life. It's on Channel 4 at 10 o'clock on Thursday the 7th. And it's a documentary that centres around a woman whose body is found inside of a flat after 2 years. And the fact that nobody has owned up to her, nobody went to check on her, the fact that she died with nobody around. And the documentary just explores that. And with it, you're thinking, really a documentary about one person who nobody was wondering what happened to her in 2 years? Honestly,
I think I remember seeing something about this when it was first announced, and yeah, I might look out for that now, because I do remember something of that.
Yeah, I've just been corrected by US Danny Dyer fan, 3 years. I thought it was 2. It's a couple of years anyway, but it's a really, really interesting documentary. It's not a gory, nasty documentary, because it's only rated 12 here. But watch it. It's on Thursday night at 10 o'clock on Channel 4. Watch it on Channel 4 HD as well, if you've got that.
Okay, well, that's it for this week's Monday Movie Show. Thank you for listening live, guys. And thank you to anyone else who's after the show listening to us on iTunes or wherever you are, YouTube, or just on the Spreaker website again. Feel free to check us out. As we did say in the first half, there is a whole load of trailers or short sort of Super Bowl ads have been released after the Super Bowl yesterday. And they're up on the website, which is mondaymovieshow.co.uk.
Can I just interject there as well? I put up a short called The Paperman. It's from Disney, and it's up for Best Animated Short at the Oscars. Watch it. It is fantastic.
It's actually the movie that's shown before Wreck-It Ralph, which comes out
next week.
Yeah, next week. And so it's good to see that. But if you go to see Wreck-It Ralph, you will also see that before it too. So you get a chance to see it there as well. And it's in 3D if you do see it in the 3D version.
Please don't.
We're not going to start on that. Okay, you can also find us on Twitter. I'm at AHDVD. Stuart is at Cryptic Tadpole, and is at Monday Movie Show. Check out our good friends' sites. You've got Following the Nerd, which is followingthenerd.com. They do their show Thursday nights at 9 o'clock. The Lolacourse, which is lolacourse.co.uk, do theirs at Fridays at 11. And you've got the Gamescast, which is thegamescast.com. who do their show Fridays from 9. And also do remember to check out as well From Page to Screen, which is from page, the number 2, and then screen.com. So we'll be back next Monday at 7:30 with our usual show. As we said already, we'll be covering, among other things, Wreck-It Ralph. Until then, movie of the week?
Untouchable.
So I'm sort of stuck between that and Flight. Yeah, I'm gonna have to say Untouchable as well. Although if you want to go and see something at the cinema, go and see Flight. And you are going to say it this week. I've been Andy,
and I'm going to play the outro music now because I hate that. It's cheesy. See you next week.
Bye bye.